This is my first design book for Hamlet, the William Shakespeare play. In this book I looked at costumes for Ophelia, King and Queen, Hamlet, Laertes and Polonius and the Ghost. I mainly looked at Ophelia in this book because this is the one where I found the most research and I have had the most fun researching and working out designs for. I found a lot of classical paintings of Ophelia, like pre-Raphaelite and Romantics, such as John William Waterhouse, and I took a lot of inspiration from that and the way Ophelia was depicted in these paintings. She was usually dressed in white with lots of flowers around her, so I took that into consideration when designing my ideas. I looked at lots of different colours and very neutral yellows, blues, light greens and light blues. I also looked at possibilities of different shapes and cuts of the dresses, looking at things like low necklines, high necklines, short sleeves, long sleeves, no sleeves. I also considered, when thinking about my designs, the different character changes that Ophelia faces. In the beginning she's quite demure and quiet, quite reserved and shy, and she seems like quite a pure character, whereas later on in the play she comes across with quite a lot of trauma in her life and becomes mad. So I wanted to show a difference in her character through her costume by distressing and making her look worse for wear to match her mental state. I plan to do this by creating one costume for her pre-madness state and then another costume which was exactly the same but would be distressed with things such as mud stains, grass stains, tea stains, rips, shreds and burn marks. Throughout the rest of it her hair would be up when she was not mad, and then afterwards when she went into her descent into madness her hair would be down and unruly, absolutely wild, like her character. This was a costume I made for Ophelia. I decided to go for a timeless sort of look, but you could tell it was in the past because I couldn't decide on a period to actually set the play, because I thought it'd be better off if it had a more timeless feel, but you knew it wasn't in the present day. I made her this sheer chiffon dress with lace trim to go underneath this plain apron, and if I had the opportunity I would have replicated this and distressed it to go with her mad state. And makeup to go with that was just plain soft makeup to match this dress with her hair up in a bun. And then afterwards she was more haggard and bitten lips and undone. This was my first research book for creating my set box. In here I have all my research and possible ideas which I considered before making my set box. I looked at lots of different productions of Hamlet and did sketches of what I liked about their sets. Like, I looked at the BBC's production of Hamlet with David Tennant, where they had black lacquered floors, which is like mirrored, which kind of added another dimension to the way that production was filmed. I liked the idea of staggered staging, like going up different rostrum to add more depth to a performance. And the period I looked at was Jacobean mainly, and lots of pre-Raphaelite paintings as inspiration again, like with the costume. And I liked vaulted ceilings. That was a big inspiration for me. It added a lot of depth, I felt, to rooms and a lot of grandeur. Wood was always a big thing, Jacobean interiors and Elizabethan interiors as well. And I thought of maybe painted flats or wood panels to create a sort of panelled room sort of look for maybe like the Great Hall scenes or Gertrude's chamber. Patterned floors were common in Elizabethan times to break up like lots of wood and stuff like that, so I thought about that as well. But vaulting was the main inspiration I had for my set. Here I started to explore different ways that I could create interesting vaulting in my set box. I thought about the possibility of a really detailed woodwork in a archway. I drew on vaulting like this, which is very detailed, as my main inspiration from that. and then looked at different stage productions for inspiration. And arches again, and vaults were a big inspiration, along with steps and lots of different graduated ways of looking into the stage. I particularly like this set as inspiration, as it was it drew your eye in and concentrated the space. Even though it was quite large, it gradually felt smaller. Like you could have a big airy space at the front, but more intimate scenes at the back. This was my final design sheet for my set box. I looked at Edward Gordon Craig's Hamlet, and that was a big inspiration for me, with all the pillars and posts and closing in of the space. And that was my initial sketch for my first set, was the Great Hall. And I thought about my colour scheme then, and like keywords that I wanted to include in my set, which was like dank, dirty and desolate, like a big old space which wasn't really used. But like everybody used it, but they never really cleaned it. It wasn't like a happy place, it was just a space that like everyone used. These were my final designs for the Great Hall, with this graduated proscenium throughout the set, and the table at the back for the Great Hall. And then for the chamber scenes, there would be a gauze and windows, and furniture would be placed on downstage, which would create a different space. This is my set box for Hamlet. This staging you can see here is how it would be for the opening scene, which is outside in the battlements where the first scene goes. This would be the same setting for all outdoor scenes, which is just a graduated proscenium and a blank stage. All outdoor effects will be created through lighting and smoke effects. For the Great Hall scenes, it would remain with the graduated proscenium, with the addition of a table and 3 chairs upstage to create a Great Hall. The rest of the stage would be available for acting, as most of Hamlet doesn't revolve around furniture. For the chamber scenes, which happen between the Queen, a gauze would come down in front of the second proscenium, and in front of that, windows. And then the addition of furniture for the bedroom, like a bed or anything else that may be required. The windows and gauze can be flown in and out for different scenes, so if it's a different chamber that's being used, the gauze may be withdrawn or the window may be withdrawn to create a different set. These are my designs for the other significant characters in Hamlet, including Queen Gertrude, the King, Polonius, Laertes and the Ghost. I'll start with the Ghost, and the Ghost I had quite a lot of ideas for, which I wasn't able to execute because there was no character playing the Ghost in our performance. But I had a lot of ideas. I wanted to try and design a costume based on like special effects that are used to create ghosts in like films and stuff, where they're like made to look all white and pale with just like projections. So I tried to create that. I thought about making that in a costume. So it'd be like several shades of white and grey and blue, like all cold and raggedy. And like because he's the dead king, he would wear his crown but would be all tatty, and his like robes would be all worn and grey and like dusty. For Laertes, he was quite a plain character, dressed like a Puritan, simple, like a soldier, isn't interested in fancy clothing. Polonius would wear a slightly aged velvet cape over breeches and a shirt, all weathered and well worn, like this was like his favourite garment that he wore all the time. The new king would be all decked out in the fanciest of garb available, with a crisp new shirt and all the high fashions of the time, seeing as he was the king, along with the Queen. She'd have like high fashion, but because of her age it wouldn't be quite as fancy as someone like Ophelia would wear if she was of a higher interest in the court. And then the makeup for all the rest of the cast is quite plain. Gertrude wearing red lipstick to show her kind of promiscuity, and Laertes just being a standard man, and the king being well made up but with dark circles to show that he has a secret and he's quite unable to sleep because of it. the chairs upstage.